Alright, David Harry here, and in this video I'm just going to quickly dive straight into the reason why you want to think twice before buying the Elgato 4K-X for any Mac which has got M1 Apple Silicon in it. Then what I will do is get onto some pretty shocking, so-called customer support or technical support from Elgato. Anyway, so the first thing is, this 4K-X does not work correctly on any M1 Mac computer. And the reason why is because this 4K-X, I'll just call it the Elgato, we know what I'm talking about here. This Elgato is supposed to run at 10 gigabits per second, hence why we are supposedly able to record 4K up to 60 frames per second, or indeed 4K up to even 120 frames per second, depending upon what we're going to actually be using for the video transport stream between the Elgato and the actual computer. However, in this instance, none of the M1 Macs will actually register this 4K-X as a 10 gigabits per second product. So what they do is to see this as a 5 gigabits per second product. So basically what we have here, as far as M1 Macs are concerned, is a UVC device which is only capable of doing 5 gigabits per second. Hence, it will only go up to a maximum of 4K at 30 frames per second. Now what I'm going to do here is just show you on the screen what happens when I look at the properties for the USB bus when this is connected. And as we can clearly see here on my Mac, this is definitely saying that it is a 5 gigabits per second product. Now when we have a look at what happens when I connect my SK Hynix SSD, which is also a 10 gigabits per second product, as we can see here, this is registering at 10 gigabits per second. And also I can confirm through tests that I've done and videos that I've done on this channel that that SSD does indeed go up to quite high speeds. It's not quite 10 gigabits per second, but it's definitely getting up there. Basically, that just proves that that drive is going past 5 gigabits per second, so definitely is working at 10 gigabits per second as far as the M1 Macs are concerned. Now, I am fully aware that there are some slight problems with the USB system on the Macs, as in they don't double up on the PCIe lanes when we start going to the ultra fast speeds for Gen 2 and stuff as far as USB-C and 3 are concerned. However, what I don't understand here is that my SK Hynix SSD is seen as 10 gigabits per second and performs at 10 gigabits per second, but the Elgato doesn't. This only gets picked up at 5 gigabits per second and definitely only performs at 5 gigabits per second as well. So in a nutshell there, basically you are getting half of a device if you get the 4K-X for an M1 Mac, because any other 5 gigabits per second UVC device could do exactly what the 4K-X is doing when it is only at 5 gigabits per second. So you can do whatever you want with that information. I mean, if you want to go out and buy one of these and have a very expensive, essentially 1080 interface, then that's entirely up to you. We'll obviously do 4K 30, but for a lot cheaper than this, you can get something that'll do all your 1080 stuff and do 4K 30. Now, just moving on to the second thing that I want to talk about in this video, and this is actually probably more important as far as I'm concerned, and that is the shocking lack of technical support that I've received from Elgato. And indeed, it's gone beyond shocking and lack thereof, because Elgato have actually gone out of their way to give me the runaround. Let me just explain what's gone on here, because this is actually really terrible. So I sent 2 emails to Elgato, and both of these emails were very informative, very descriptive and all the rest of it. Now, during that time, I'd had responses back from Elgato asking me to do things which had absolutely nothing to do with what this problem is, saying things about the HDMI, usage of the box and stuff. Well, anybody who's technical knows that the HDMI usage of this particular box has got absolutely zip to do with the USB-C subsystem. Anyway, so they had me running around doing stuff, and I kind of thought, okay, I'll play along a little bit just to see if I can get past that first level of so-called tech support and get to speak to somebody who knows what they're talking about. Anyway, by the time the third email come through off them, they're suggesting that I download software for my Mac, which allows them to do an interrogation of the system on the Mac. Now, I don't have a problem with that kind of like, you know, in principle. However, what Elgato do is to run software on your Mac, which gathers tons of information that's got nothing to do with checking for like the card and like checking for like the subsystems to see if the card's being recognized. Part of what their software does is to log certain things like names, emails, IP addresses, and that is amongst a bunch of things where they are very vague about the other personal information that gets collected during that particular test. Anyway, so at that point I'm thinking, well, sod that. There's absolutely no way I'm letting somebody get that type of information out of my system. Anyway, so then I decided to go on to Reddit, at which point I'm finding that there's, well, obviously going to be a bunch of people with this particular problem. Anyway, I find one of the official Elgato responses to some of these like questions. There will be links to these things, by the way, in the video description, and if I can pull some stuff on the screen, I'll do that as best as possible. Anyway, one of the Elgato technicians or one of their support people had already admitted in another post that Elgato were fully aware of this particular issue with M1 Macs. However, after the time where this person had admitted this in one like post on Reddit, after that, they were telling other people that, oh no, this is all good, it all works perfectly. So that person fully knew that this issue existed, yet was telling M1 owners who had the 4KX that it was all okay and that it did indeed work at 4K 60. Now at this point, it's quite obvious that this person was lying, and I'm going to go straight to that lying, because you don't say that it doesn't do it and you are fully aware of it, and then after that point say to somebody else, oh no, it's all good, it'll record 4K 60, because that second thing that gets said is a lie, pure and simple. Anyway, so what this is telling me is that from the first response that this person from Elgato had said on Reddit, which is Elgato are fully aware of the problem, and they're even down to the level where like there's supposedly some kind of like communicating going on with Apple, which I doubt very much, because I don't think Apple are going to admit to anything being their fault in this situation. But basically, it is very clear that Elgato are fully aware of this problem. So why did they have me running around like a complete and utter idiot, chasing after something that couldn't be fixed when they already knew that the problem existed? Now, on top of that particular issue as well, what they haven't done is to let people know any of this when they go to the Elgato website to order one of these interfaces. So maybe they might have changed it today, because I've been putting a bit of a stink up on Reddit and so some other people as well. Right now, or at least last time I looked, when you go and buy one of these 4KXs, it does not specifically say to you that it will not work with M1 Apple devices. It gives you some vagueness to do with 5 gigabits per second, but I think that's in reference to the old x86 variants of Macs, which only had 5 gigabits per second ports on them. Anyway, so as far as I'm concerned, this whole thing by Elgato is completely disingenuous. They know exactly what's going on here, yet they are prepared to let people buy into this product to only get messed around afterwards and then be lied to about the problem as well, when Elgato are fully aware of the problem. Anyways, I will leave it at that, and I'll kind of leave this up to you yourself to work out whether or not you think this is a bad thing. As far as I'm concerned, because I've bought one and I've been getting the runaround from Elgato, of course I think it's a bad thing. Now, just quickly, this happens to be an amazing interface. After all this, I am not going to say to people this is a bad interface. It absolutely is not. If you get this working like on a system where it works properly, it's absolutely awesome. And on that basis, I'm going to do some videos to do with this interface, because I absolutely love it. It's brilliant on my iPad Pro. It is just shockingly bad on my MacBook. Anyways, if you've liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up. A sub to the channel would be absolutely awesome. I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.